give me just a second, guys. Getting everything set up, make sure we're all good. I'll give everybody a second to join in as well before I dive in, because I know there's several here. Well, I guess I can go ahead and start because people can always watch it later. Let's see. Pull up the list. Deej wants me to look at Google. So, yeah, Fed interest rate decision today. So, quarter basis point increase. So, cool. Jump over to the stock, and then also I told Tony I would look at and show an example of like implied volatility and the premiums being jacked this week with the election, as well as heading into the FOMC rate decision, and then the tank action that's going on with that. So I guess real quick, let me show you just that, and then we'll jump at the chart. But even just looking at QQQ, how you're on unusual wells on their volatility component, you can see just tracking with spike. Like, look how this was high leading up into the election, and then just bombs, right? So this is on QQQ is what this is tracking against, and it dropped quite a bit. This is just a generalized one, by the way. It's actually more significant on direct options that are shorter term as well. So that's something you need to be careful of. And I could show you charts and stuff of like the actual premium moving, but I'll find some actual good examples of that and drop them into the lounge. But for the time being, I'm gonna start here. I was looking at Rivian. They had earnings this evening, so I actually like Rivian a lot as a longer term hold here. I see way too many Amazon trucks in my neighborhood. Wouldn't surprise me if one drives by, and I see it out the window right now. But I saw the numbers. I know I think technically missed on earnings, which is fine. Yeah, here we go. Click here. But they've been missing on earnings. That's nothing new, yet it's still ripped like this. So it's all about the forward guidance and the outlook, how things play out for them for the coming quarter and year into 2025. I don't see Amazon cutting them anytime soon, and I think they've got a new potential deal going on with Volkswagen as well. So Rivian here, I started phasing into some longer term calls with this breakout here in the retest. We'll see if it holds into tomorrow. Most earnings, I don't really put any emphasis or basis on what happens in after hours or pre-market. I more so want to see what happens with the earnings the following day, into next week, especially since tomorrow's Friday. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Tickers. So let me jump over to Google real quick for Deej, not Google. So Google's a fun one, because it can be so volatile, and you can see here today, yeah, it got this pump on, but this thing left a gap on the daily, and I've got a little write-up I'm putting together because I think it was Joe was, you hear me good? All right, cool. Thanks, Deej. Joe was asking earlier about the gaps on the daily, and when I talk about a gap, holy crap, dude, I need to take a picture, because literally as I'm sitting here joking about this, look out the window. Amazon truck. So let me grab this picture for you real quick and throw it in line. You can't make this stuff up. But there's way too many in our neighborhood all the time. Let's see. Dude, alright, y'all are gonna get funny out of this, because my wife just sent me a text and she said, why didn't you invest $1,000 in L 5 years ago? So see, she's listening to the stock thing, it seems like. Anyway, sorry. Circling back to the charts here. I'll send the picture for the Amazon truck here in a minute. I don't want to get derailed trying to crank through this, but Google, it had this nice inverse head and shoulders that played out. We completed that measured move with earnings already. You can see that, like, off earnings, right, it dropped hard, and then it got its retracement on and pushed back up here. Today, it tried to push up, but it tagged this resistance level here. This is a key supply zone, so be careful here. I bought some really, really cheap Google puts just in case it decides to fill one of these downside gaps tomorrow for whatever freak reason. I just bought like some cheap, like less than $10 each, 175 puts in case this gaps down for whatever reason overnight. Pure cheap lotto is all it was. But you can see here we filled this upside gap here heading into the earnings. So ultimately, I want to see what Google can do here. We'll see if it can continue this upside momentum, but it is in a supply zone area here that might have it at risk. The broader market stayed relatively flat with a lot of the movement today. I mean, we got a slight upside pump off of the Fed interest rate decision, right? That little bitty movement up there. We had already pumped quite a bit earlier in the day. You can see my measured move for QQQ for the, if I look at it on the daily. If I delete some of these minor support and resistance levels just so that it's a little bit cleaner for you. And that setup is not intact anymore, so we're not trading it. But we retook the uptrend on QQQ with that big gap up. I don't like when we leave these huge gaps like this personally, because like I was explaining to Joe earlier today, on standard practice, I think that it's like 80% probability that a gap from the daily chart gets filled. How quickly a gap on the daily chart gets filled is kind of the question, rather than like, will it get filled? Sure, there are some gaps that end up never getting filled, but ultimately most of them end up getting filled. That can be consistent across all tickers. Got some probability and data statistics for that I'm going to be sharing. I'm putting together like an ebook thing that actually will show some of the most common chart patterns in it, as well as what the probability is of each of those playing out on various time frames. So for instance, what's the percentage probability of a bull flag playing out on a weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, 5 minute, 1 minute time frame? Not to be a hard and fast rule to make a decision on, but I know a lot of people are data driven. So for me, seeing the probability and statistics can be helpful. So I'm going to put together an ebook and share it with y'all in the Discord so that y'all can get it. But I'll put some of the stuff in there too about the probability of gaps from the dailies and overnights being filled. Ultimately, what I'm watching for here is, can we maintain the bullish momentum and upside movement that we have right now with tech? Because we had some huge moves following the election result, as well as kind of maintained it, at least today, with FOMC. The kicker with the Fed interest rate decision is, if you go back and historically look, sometimes we get a really huge reaction as soon as the data is released. Sometimes it's flat as soon as JP or Jerome Powell starts speaking. We get one big move. Other times, as soon as he walks off stage, we dive or we get a big move to the upside. None of that really happened today, which we have seen in the past. But my theory on the whole approach as of right now is, right now the implied volatility is still heavily spiked on quite a few options from the election and the Fed interest rate decision both being this week. So it's my feeling that the larger funds and the people that sold those options premiums are letting the premiums get slammed more and more, so that whenever Ivy ultimately tanks harder and things level out, the premiums are going to drop hard. And it's really risky, and I kind of hate the way that setup plays out for a lot of retail traders, because they're not familiar with that on calls and puts, like what the impact actually can be. As well as the interest rate cut today, while it was only 0.25%, that still is going to have an impact on any swing options because of the row. And the row, it would be 1/4 of whatever the row is on your reflective option, because they dropped it by a quarter. So just something to keep in mind. Take a look at it. I'm also starting to phase into more swing calls and swing puts here on different setups. I did a little bit today once we got the interest rate decision, because I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to get like a random 50 basis point cut that would have had heavier row hit on those options. But each ticker and each stock, really, people need to make sure that they're looking at those independently, regardless of what QQQ and the broader market's doing with SPY. Like, really look at each stock and each chart on its own. Take into account some of the other things that impact that sector, and specifically some of those stocks. But that being said, look at each chart and set up specific to that ticker. When I say ticker, I mean stock. For those that are still learning, for those of you that know, not a dumb comment or a dumb question. If someone asks that, there's a lot of people trying to learn, so let's help people learn. But anyways, QQQ, I'd like to see that push up, right? If it can maintain that momentum. Like I said, I don't love that those gaps are there, because gaps tend to get filled. Really, it would be healthy for this thing to pull back, fill some gaps before getting more upside movement, but we'll see how that plays out. Jumping over to NVDA, if there's other stocks y'all do want, drop it into the trading floor on Bullish Raid, or drop it into the lounge over on Ethical Trading Discord, or in the live chat for YouTube. I'm watching that as well. But before I continue, go ahead, if you don't mind, please hit the like and subscribe button, or just minimally the like button, so that I know that you're getting value out of this video and can do more. So NVIDIA, beautiful breakout here, trading into that range that I've got as a measured move for that inverse head and shoulders breakout, so that's awesome. I said I was going to sell my covered calls against my shares today, and I held off just because I want to see some kind of, same thing as what I'm talking about with Palantir. I want to see some kind of slight reversal start to happen before I sell them. So I will alert in the selling premiums channel whenever I do sell my covered calls on NVIDIA. Hopefully it can push up to that 150 range before I do so. I'd love to get some great premiums back and hedge my share holdings on NVIDIA like I do with Tesla. So NVIDIA, you can kind of see the setup going on here. Yeah, it's getting that strong upside movement going on. We need to see the follow through though, because ultimately, if you look at a lot of the weekly charts, that's where I'm worried that we're going to either not maintain that bullish momentum and maybe a wick and reject, or we'll just see how things play out. Be careful tomorrow on a lot of these stocks to see if we trade flat. Like I said, we could potentially see a situation where some of the options premiums just get absolutely wrecked. Even if we don't pull back on calls, if it trades flat, it's going to hurt. So keep that in mind, trade carefully. I mentioned earlier as well, I'll be getting into more swing trades personally. I'm going to look at AMD real quick because I did like that it was trying to retake the breakout here. And if I look at this on the weekly, this is actually kind of good if it can maintain the push up to the upside tomorrow. We broke out of that downtrend right and then rejected back down and, oops, didn't even click that. Back to the chart. I hate the ads that pop up. I need to sign in with my other tier so that I can actually not have ads on this, but it's on my other PC, and if you have multiple sessions, it doesn't play nice. So anyways, looking at this, we had the breakout, it rejected and pushed back down, right? So I want to see AMD push up above that downtrend line and then hold that support in that range and move higher, maybe to fill that gap at 174.53. When I'm talking about these setups on these larger time frames, like the weekly and even on some of these daily chart setups, you've got to give it time for these stocks and these moves to play out. Whenever I'm mentioning things like that movement there, or some of the other stocks that we recently traded swing trades on, like Palantir, Riot, Mara, SoFi, several others, there's a reason why I'm getting into those trades that I'm minimally going to 20-25 options. Typically, if I'm trading options that expire in a week or up to probably 8 weeks, it's because I'm trading a shorter time frame setup, or I'm hedging, which I normally call out when I alert something like that. But anyways, on AMD, I started phasing into some longer term call options whenever we were easing up over here. I only phased in with my first phase. I'll probably buy 3 or 4 phases of that given option. The reason I phase in like that is for exactly what you're looking at here, right? Sometimes you get fake out breakouts that happen where we retrace and we pull back before it continues to move. I also want to see that semiconductors can maintain bullish momentum here regardless of what NVIDIA is doing at the given moment. There's a lot of other semiconductors that are still kind of trying to pull their own weight and get back up, right? So those are the ones we talked to there. Real quick, I'm going to look at crypto before we circle back at some of these others, because I think a lot of people are curious of crypto. Y'all might be tired of hearing it, but the reason I love crypto, I've been at, that's a UPS truck driving by, that one's on Amazon. I got excited for a second. I was like, wow, 2 in 1. Sorry, Bitcoin, right? So I've been in crypto since 2017. I'm loving this breakout movement we've got. If you look on the weekly time frame as well, so this is the setup we've been watching for several weeks. Actually, I could probably say several months at this point, because I think I alerted some re-entries here. I'm still kicking myself because there was a point back here in August where I entered a 200x leveraged Bitcoin position that I trimmed it early, and I should have just rode that thing out because I would have had huge gains on that trade for adding to my longer term holdings. But At any rate, here with Bitcoin, you've got the breakout of that bull flag, as well as, I'm not sure if people are noticing this or not, if you zoom out on the weekly and monthly charts, that is a massive cup and handle setup, which is very bullish. So Bitcoin, and therefore crypto in general, has got a lot of positive momentum behind it right now. When you're looking at crypto on some of these exchanges as well, you can get a little bit more of a insight into what's going on as compared to if you're looking at it on like crypto futures, like I forget which one it was that Body shared recently, but it was one of the Bitcoin futures ETF things. And when you looked at it, it kind of looked like the volume was tapering off, and someone called that out, but that wasn't directly on Bitcoin. So like that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of the ETFs and the futures contracts directly on like primary exchanges like that, because if you were looking at Bitcoin itself, you actually would have seen volume wasn't tapering, instead volume was ramping up, which is what you need when you have a breakout attempt on a bullish level like that. So you can see here we got big buying volume with the election outcome. Everyone kind of knows that Trump's a big advocate for crypto at this point, even though he wasn't in the past. So I will be watching the setup to see how this plays out. And no, I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin or any of my other cold storage holdings for that matter. This stuff's going to sit there and keep on riding. If anything, I'll add to it. As crazy as it sounds, if you haven't seen this kind of on a larger frame setup on one of the other videos, the measured move for this breakout is actually around that $120,000 range. So Bitcoin's probably heading to that range. I do expect here at the 100K mark to see some selling to happen to some extent, just because the psychological level factor. But ultimately that setup is solid, but it's not nearly as awesome and solid as my favorite crypto at the moment. So got Solana over here. Similar setup, right? Cup and handle, bull flag breakout, but man, the profit potential of Solana is insane. So this project's kind of in its earlier stages compared to Bitcoin. I got in this January 2023, and I'm up nicely, but I'm riding it out. I'm not selling, I'm not trimming anything. I'm riding this thing out. The measured move for this inverse head and shoulder setup puts it around that 201 mark, which you can see we've almost completed that move here. So once that move completes, I'll delete that and the inverse head and shoulder setup and start focusing more on what the bull flag breakout target is. And I think I showed y'all that on yesterday's video, but it's absurd, the measured move. Even if you were to not take this full flagpole, if I took it from like way up here, that's like 180%, or here, even more conservative. Let's go 165% gain or increase on Solana from this level. Previous all-time high was up there at 259. So let's just say if it was 150% increase over where we're currently at. I'm going to zoom out. You're talking about like $500 Solana, basically. Oh, higher. Okay. Yeah, so even 150% is over $500. So you haven't missed out if you're not in crypto yet. There's plenty of time for you to get into crypto. I'm not saying buy now and you're only going to make gains, because I'm just not going to tell you something like that. But I'm bullish on crypto. I'm maintaining my holdings. I shared an update on the holdings with many people in Discord earlier today, so y'all kind of know what I have at stake to be able to say that. I'm riding this thing out. I want to see if we can push above this previous resistance level when we test it there. I may enter some leverage crypto short futures on Solana when we tap that resistance level, partially as a hedge for my longs, but also that's how I've made gains on a lot of my crypto over the years, has been trading leverage short futures and long futures up and down on the shorter time frame. So again, you can see volume is ramping up here. Solana's got a lot of push going behind it. Jump over real quick to Ethereum. So Ethereum, even though it's straggling behind, because the whole, from my opinion, the proof of stake versus proof of work shift, and I think Ethereum got a lot of its movement back in 2018 through 2022 because it was proof of work, and you had all the push of the GPU miners behind it, as well as the ASICs. Whereas once that stuff shifted over and they went to proof of stake instead, you kind of lost the support of all the miners behind it. So That being said, we do have a breakout here. You can see the measured move. If we maintain, we may retest this breakout and bounce up higher, but the measured move here puts it around 3,300. So I'm watching that closely because I do have significant Ethereum holdings still. I think I have 80 or 90 ETH somewhere in there. I remember I'm like right under, I think, 90. So again, a lot of that stuff came from mining rewards over the years that I need to park somewhere, so I parked it there. I'll be watching that setup to see what happens. Doge. So you can see we actually moved and almost, did we break? Did we hit the 22 level? No, we got right under it. So you can see we have the breakout here. I'll be watching this because at the end of the day, a lot of retail traders want to own a lot of something. So like, it's cool if they own fractional Bitcoin or fractional ETH, but at the end of the day, psychological people just like to have a lot of something. So obviously retail and others are attracted to Doge and SHIB and several others. That being said, they do have upside movement potential significantly. Dang it, Deej. I can't talk about Purple Pepe because my brother-in-law has been trying to push me at Purple Pepe for like since this summer. Which I can't get behind it, dude. Like, it's just not my thing. So Purple Pepe is a kind of altcoin random meme project. If any of y'all aren't familiar with it, and maybe Blake's listening, we'll see. He'll probably get mad. He's gonna be like, I'm knocking this Purple Pepe. But anyways, it's I don't know what the chart even looks like for Purple Pepe. I don't know if I can even pull it up on TradingView. But now I'm curious. Let's see. Pepe USDT. Hey, it is on. Wait, this one's not Purple Pepe though. This is OG Pepe. So like, nah. I see Head and Shoulders is all I see right there. I don't touch the randoms. People have had to learn their lessons the hard way on a lot of the. I don't know. I'm gonna flat out say the shit coins from 2021 because everyone chased them thinking they were gonna get the big gains, but what people don't realize is a lot of those random altcoin projects like that. My buddy talking to it, and D says his buddy got him into it. Any crypto project, I highly recommend people go look at the white paper behind it and kind of understand what the project is, what their roadmap and vision is. Any legitimate project is going to have that available, easily defined out on the web. You can just simply like go to CoinDesk or any of the major websites though and see. So Purple Pepe, for instance, doesn't have, like, if I go to CoinMarketCap, I remember going and looking at this when my brother-in-law talked about it. And sorry, if some of y'all don't care about crypto, you can skip this part of the video. But I went and looked out here because I was like, wanting to understand, because I won't put my money anywhere on anything until I understand what exactly their project is all about. So I went out here and there was an obvious white paper. You can see the contract over here. I went to their website and I was like, no, this is not putting my money here, dude. Like, look at this. Like, there's not a white paper anywhere on here. They got a our plan thing that has no details behind it. We're bullish and it's memes. So this is like your legitimate meme coin type situation here. Makes Solana great again. So trying to lean in on Trump. Yeah, so that's the Pepe, OG Pepe that you're in, Dish. So that is the one I was looking at a second ago. You put $300 in it, dude. You're crazy. You're a degen. I'll shift over from this, but I just wanted to show you all, like, there's no white paper here, right? Like, if you're not familiar with what a white paper is, and their website's not even security secured, that's ridiculous. Like, no, I'm not touching that crap. If you're looking at a legitimate project, though, and again, you can, like, for one, Solana's got a solid website, but if you go to CoinMarketCap, just like we did a second ago for Purple Pepe, you can click over here once it loads. See how they have a white paper listed here along with their website? So you can click on the white paper and you can actually look at what all their project is about. It should contain stuff like their roadmap, their vision, their outlook, anything that they're going to be investing longer term. So that's what you want to look at is the white paper. And I don't want to shift over the web page to it at this point just because I'm trying to crank through these charts real quick. But again, you can also go to the website. CoinMarketCap's a legitimate website that any legit crypto is going to be on here, and you can kind of track it accordingly. But look at the growth on Solana. Awesome. And 85% bullish. Yeah, I'm going to click my bullish for the day. So close that out. Jump back over here. I don't know what that is. Other tickers that y'all asked me to look at real quick. Let me see. Oh, Tesla, duh. Yep. So Tesla. And this is what I was loving. Bima made bank on Tesla today with some calls. I was loving it. For me, I'm kind of waiting to swing some Tesla calls until we get confirmation of the breakout of the downtrend here. Because right now we're testing it. We're trying really hard, but we haven't pushed over it yet. So I want to be careful here, because if we reject at this range again, then it can get really painful really fast, right? Y'all have seen this even with the good earnings, just like this time. Tesla dove hard, and that's where we head down to this level, right? So being careful here. I did sell covered calls on my shares. I will ride it out here unless I see over on the unusual well flows some of the larger funds buying to close out positions. I didn't see that today. I shared a screenshot over in the lounge that ultimately right now there's heavy, as soon as it tagged right under that 300 level today, there was heavy call options sold off for tomorrow's expiration at $300, next week expiration at $300, several that were higher strike than that. And when I see those just out of the money options get sold like that from those larger whales and funds, they're basically doing that because they're going to let the premiums burn. So same reason I sell covered calls against my shares, to hedge, but also to kind of make profits on the passive. Sorry, clicking this because it's bothering me that I didn't mark that already. So we've got multiple gaps to the downside at this point on Tesla. Again, they don't always get filled immediately, but they're most certainly something you need to keep an eye on, because those gaps on Tesla from here can get filled stupid fast. So it wouldn't just completely shock me by any means if Tesla all of a sudden decided to be at 250 sometime next week. Y'all know how Tesla is. I hope it's not, because I finally got to 1,000 shares and I'll close out my covered call positions and I'll ride this wave up. But I want to see confirmation of a full-blown reversal of the downtrend on the weekly and monthly time frames, especially the weekly. The weekly close tomorrow is going to be significant for me when it comes to Tesla, to kind of get a gauge on how things are going to shake out from here. You can see we did the breakout. We did a beautiful retest right here and held this downtrend, or I'm sorry, this uptrend with the retest of the downtrend. So I love this technical movement here. I just didn't want to swing calls because same thing with the IV crush on several other things. The risk to reward wasn't worth it for me here. And you'll have a lot of people that are all for trading calls on Tesla. They haven't experienced what it feels like yet to not trade cautiously with Tesla and feel the burn. So Bima did great. I'm proud of Bima because the dude basically trimmed to cover his cost basis on the first rip, which was awesome. That's a smart way to trade Tesla, but anything else. To make it even better, as soon as we tapped that key resistance level today, he closed out and took gains on the rest of his position. So shout out to Bima for being awesome, being a smart trader, and not letting greed keep him in a position longer than it should. That's a great example of how you should be trading something like this. Is, yeah, we pushed up, he locked his gains, and then you get out and wait for the next setup to formulate itself. If I see on the weekly and monthly that we're going to break out, I'll consider maybe swinging some calls, but I want to see actual confirmations because premiums are expensive on Tesla, and all it takes is one rogue tweet from Elon to basically slam us back into that downtrend. So I really want to be careful here. I'll keep sticking with shares and covered calls for the time being. But yeah, let's see. What other stocks were on the list that people asked me to look at? So Apple was there. Did we look at Apple? I can't remember. No, we didn't look at Apple because I would have remembered that chart. So yeah, Apple feels like we were ripping, right? But Apple still broke the uptrend and has failed to retake it at this point. So I'm watching really closely on Apple here because technically that's still a bear flag. Technically that's the measured move for that bear flag if we reject anywhere in this zone here. Also note that today where it rejected is the same previous supply zone range. So being careful here. Also, when's their dividend? Tomorrow? Yeah, be careful on Apple. People get their dividend bail. So I'm gonna watch this closely, see how I want to trade it going forward. I gotten some, started very, very lightly easing into some puts here on the pump just because overall the setup's not holding intact yet. We see confirmation of a upside reversal to hold. I'll reevaluate, but as of right now, you can see there that it hit that level and it rejected. So watching this closely to see what shakes out and how it plays out. For the time being, I don't know if I'll do some 0 day to expirations tomorrow or not on it. I may. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Meta got a retracement today. That one did good. SMCI, dude, like this one, it's like retail never learns when it comes to stocks like this, because I saw people trying to push, I bought the dip on SMCI over on Facebook last night, and then they did it again earlier today, and yeah, it retraced and got a little bit of a green day. How big did it pump today? What was that? 12%? So it's like huge, massive 12% pump. But let's all ignore the fact that all it did was pump to this gap fill right here. Like I said, gaps like to be filled, right? So that gap filled. And watch out tomorrow to see if this rejects there. It's got multiple gaps to the upside. But if you're not familiar with what's going on with the SMCI, they basically are flagged for fraud at this point. They had one auditor that basically quit because he was concerned about some of the stuff that he was seeing in the books. And they have until November 20th to submit their annual plan that they have already delayed and were supposed to submit earlier this year, or they're getting delisted because they need to put together that plan, submit it by the 20th to kind of state how they're going to regain compliance. You also have NVDA diverting their orders away from SMCI to other vendors. So many red flags, yet retail is going to chase stuff like this all day long. So I'm not actively trading calls or puts on this, although the measured move for the bear flag breakdown on this thing will be that 1717 gap fill. For me, the risk to reward is just not worth it right now. Even if I was in puts on it and it gets delisted, I'd probably get wrecked, right? So it's just not worth it to trade. Just really warning people, I'm not going to tell you what to buy or sell, but I would highly recommend against buying shares or calls on SMCI here. Same thing that I mentioned on all of these other bear flags along the way, but people love to buy the dip, right? So that's what's going on there. Any other tickers I need to touch on really quick? SoFi, yeah, I got you. So SoFi is trying to make this bull flag breakout move here. You can see we gapped up. It may retrace right here to fill that gap before moving up with continuation, but we will see. What other stock was it earlier today that we saw rip? It was, yeah, definitely Riot and all of those did, but quick, if I look at it, I think Sound got a nice little retracement too. Yeah, Sound got an awesome breakout. Wow, that's such a clean setup. So it came off of that downtrend breakout there. You can see the measured move of the inverse head and shoulder setup, which I deleted the green inverse head and shoulders, but it's there. The measured move for that, it didn't tag it that first time. It retraced to retest neckline, and then it just rocketed. So I was actually kind of kicking myself because I was going to buy more calls on Sound whenever we were down beat earlier this week, and it held that support range, and I didn't because I got sidetracked. But Sound can keep on kind of ripping here, especially if NVIDIA does, because its relationship with AI. So definitely one to keep an eye on. SoFi we looked at. Applied Digital Corporation's another key one that is playing out a great inverse head and shoulders here. So these are some good cheap stocks that it's cheaper options. So people with smaller accounts, there's no reason why you can't make gains too on stuff like this. I know some Discords are big on like only alerting like the big tech tickers and expensive contracts their next year. You can get into contracts for January, February, March on like tickers like these much cheaper to where you can actually afford it, and you can still make the same if not bigger percentage gains on those trades. So We entered some more calls on this today for January, and those are already up 16%. I'm looking to ride that move to more upside. I'll feel even better once I see it retake kind of this trend here, but ultimately that inverse head and shoulders is intact and it's playing out beautifully. So from a technical standpoint, that's awesome. I'll keep watching that. Others that we've been watching, Samara, another one that we entered some more calls on because the setup started to make more sense for re-entry. So you got to break out a downtrend, which I'm guessing that's drawn based off the other one. I'd have to see why it shifted a little bit. But at any rate, it attempted to break out of the downtrend here. Here, I'll look at the weekly. Now you can see. Yeah, huge downtrend breakout there. It'll probably, I'm going to draw another line here just so we can see both trends. So you can see we haven't broke out this shorter term trend yet. That being said, crypto stock, crypto hype. Y'all saw the Bitcoin chart. Mara is a Bitcoin miner that actually has a very impressive cost per Bitcoin. And when I say cost per Bitcoin, that's the cost per Bitcoin mined. So companies like Mara, Riot, some of the other mining companies, they get their money from mining Bitcoin. And through their operations, their costs over the years have been driven down, so they're actually profitable with their mining. But it's different than Coin or Hood or some of the others that are getting money and gains from being an exchange of crypto. So Mara, this one, as Bitcoin continues to rip, sympathy play and the move is going to help. It's going to get more movement to the upside. I started phasing into more calls on that for next year. Riot went nuts. I'm still mad at myself for selling those $10 calls this week that I entered as a lotto. Like, look at this. Like, it broke out. Let's think of the setup you just saw on Mara and look at Riot now. So broke out, retest, bounce, rocket. So mad. And for those of you that aren't familiar or aren't aware, so I guess it was what, Tuesday? Yeah, it was Monday or Tuesday. I bought Riot $10 calls for this Friday. It's just a pure lotto, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe it'll pump up to like that 986 resistance level and I'll get some nice gains. And it did. It moved up. I made awesome gains on it. I trimmed accordingly like a smart trader. And then the election happened, and Riot just went parabolic and has not stopped since. So, I mean, just this week, look at this. It's almost a 40% move. So, yeah, those Riot calls that I decided to be the smart trader on and bailed on went 671% gains today. So, kind of a little salty, but also glad that I had the, diligence to hold and be smart about it. But at any rate, longer term Riot calls, still in plenty of those for January and beyond. I'll probably be looking to add once we get bullish continuation here. I don't love that there's a gap here, but these crypto stocks are so volatile, and that's why I tried to explain to people when we were entering a lot of those calls for early next year back throughout this range, because it can sit here and feel choppy in these tighter ranges, and then all of a sudden you get some Bitcoin news or crypto news, and they just go nuts, and they rip a lot faster than what you're used to with normal stocks. So there is the volatility and risk that comes with crypto with those. That being said, I mean, you can see the gain potential is there. So even the Riot calls that we have for next year, they went 207% gains today off of a re-entry in August. So plenty of cheap trades for context on this, so that you know that you don't have to trade a bunch of expensive stocks and options to make gains. Those Riot calls that we re-entered in, where'd it go? August are, where'd they go? They're on the screen. That one is November. Let's search it. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it. So yeah, those were bought cheap. $114 each, and they're at $350. So, and I know 114 is not super cheap for some people, but there's plenty of other options like SoFi options and stuff that we've been trading that we bought for like $46 that are at $256. Yeah, I can look at Shopify for you, Analyzer. Check it out. That's actually one I've been keeping a close eye on because I saw the breakout, and hopefully some of y'all are still in the swing calls that I alerted, because check it out. We're banking. So we blew through price target 1, we nailed price target 2, and then just kept on flying with earnings. So interesting thing here, earnings is on the 12th of next week, so flying into earnings is going to be great. I will probably trim off any existing calls to minimally cover my cost basis tomorrow, just to be safe. And then I'll trim some more heading into earnings just to be safe, because you don't know how earnings can shake out. You can see they have a good, consistent record of beating on earnings, or at least meeting earnings, so that's good. That being said, I'm not going to get greedy. So I'll ride some runners like I do on a lot of these trades, but this is playing out beautifully on shop. You can see that bull flag breakout yet again, and the price target's there. You could call 91.40 price target 4 if you wanted, but yeah, that's looking great. We're in kind of no man's land right here, because it's kind of a weird area where there's not really support or resistance, because we gapped up, or didn't gap up, sorry, we pumped up hard back in February. So this zone, you don't really have minor support and resistance levels a whole lot, so just be careful if you're trading across that. I'll drop that chart over in the Shopify channel if you'll remind me, analyzer, just to make sure that everyone's got it and can reference it easily. So I try to have all the ticker specific channels over on the left side of Discord, so you can just scroll down to the one or search for the one that you need. So if you need, for instance, a target chart, target being the store, not target price target, you could jump down, look at the TGT channel, click it, and you'll see all the charts for reference. So try to make it easy for people who reference different tickers. And you'll find that the majority of the tickers that you probably traded that I alert are all there. Always happy to add another ticker if you want me to, so that you can reference it easier and put charts there. But yeah, looking good. I want to see what DraftKings did real quick, because like somebody was talking about it because of earnings, and I know y'all were questioning some of the swing calls on it recently, which we took the gains on our swing calls, right? So we already played that move. It looks like it tanked hard. It completed that move though. First, it completed the move before close or after? Before close. So yeah, we had already completed the measured move. This is why you don't get greedy, and the technical said the measured move for this thing was 39.13. We hit 39.13 to complete the measured move, and right there, so we're like, all right, I'm out. I set my stop loss, or I take my gains, and you roll, especially with earnings tonight. It looks like it's trying to maintain and hold that range, but that being said, like, yeah, we'll see. If it can hold this breakout, because that was kind of the longer term setup too, was if it can hold the breakout of the downtrend with the retest and push up, that's good. So maybe it's just filling those gaps it left on the daily. We'll see what happens with that tomorrow. I can probably do like one more if there's anything specific y'all are wanting, then I'll call it and go hang out with the family for a bit. See any others that are on this list real quick. AI, yeah, we did AI. Soundhound, yep. Veil, yeah. Let me show you Veil, because people questioned Veil so hard, and I tried to explain to people that it moves different than what you're used to stocks moving. So Veil is one of those that I entered some longer term swing calls on, just because I've traded this thing on and off for years now, and it's one of those really cheap stocks that moves slow until all of a sudden it just rips, and the options can be really, really cheap on it because of how it moves. So if you get in whenever it's in its like little chill consolidation phases, the setup potential to make gains off of a little bit amount of money is awesome. So I remember there was a time, I guess last year, where I bought some really cheap, like 1 week out calls on it, and I got them for like $2 each or something, and then they went absolutely nuts. It was probably one of the biggest gains I'd made off $2 ever. But you can see here lots of bullish momentum with Veil moving up. Lots of stuff going on there. I want to see if it can push up above that resistance level, but that was the measured move for the shorter term calls, so we'll see how that shakes out. I am in some $12 call runners still, or I think they're nearer term, and I'm going to stay in the runners here just because, like, right now they're probably down because they're runners. I didn't care, but while they're down now and they're not moving a whole lot, once they go in the money, they'll rip. So I'll just leave them in play and I'll play it out and see what happens. But ultimately, Vail is coming off of a nice little support zone. One last ticker I'm going to look at real quick is ELF, because we were talking about it last night with their earnings. And it completed this measured move perfectly for that head and shoulders breakdown. I think that was John that I was talking with that last year. So I'm going to delete this finally because we completed it. I don't love that it couldn't hold that support range or resistance range now. And I mentioned that to some people on the Discord last night, that if I could see it hold over this 117.29 level, I probably will go long on it for all the reasons we've been talking about with the product and the company. And apparently my wife and daughters also buy ELF stuff sometimes. So I'm liking that setup. It's got the breakout there. It's trying to push up. But again, it's got an inverse head and shoulders here too. I don't know that that's obvious to everybody, but it's there. Here, I'm going to draw it so that you can see it real quick. Everybody can learn together. Did I draw that right? Sorry, it's late in the day, so looking at that, I'm just like, blah. That's not right. No, it is right. Okay, sorry. But yeah, this could actually, looking at it like that, that actually makes me question this a bit. Again, I want to see it hold over 117.29, but that being said, that is the inverse head and shoulders breakout followed by a retest of the neckline, and if it bounces and holds here, that sucker probably rocket. And you can see the range of movement there. So yeah, that thing holds, especially above that level, I'm going long. That'd be a great swing call into 2025. Probably like some June 2025 calls or something, because it's one of those kind of moves gradually. But yeah, I'm going to be watching that. Someone remind me to check that tomorrow to see if I need to go ahead and enter calls. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Everyone have a great evening. If there's anything y'all need from me tomorrow, let me know. Please, again, hit the like and subscribe button so I know that you get value out of this. And everybody have a good night. Bye.